So my name is Joey Pavlik. I work at the Alamo Area Metropolitan Planning Organization, or the MPO for short, because it's a super long name. I'm the active transportation planner, so essentially the bike pedestrian planner for the MPO. And so this class today is street skills, and so all about road safety for when you're riding your bike on the roads, even some state and local laws when you're riding your bicycle. Briefly a little bit about what the MPO is, what we do, and we'll also go talk about Bike San Antonio and Jump 2. And Bronco bikes too. And so let's talk about rules of the road, some of the common laws, common collision types, how to stay involved, and of course, how to fit your helmet properly. I've also been biking since I was a kid. So biking to school, elementary school, especially in college. Worked at a bike shop for a little bit, but I just love biking, and especially when I was a kid, it was just fun to get around and go, just explore around. So, bikes are just amazing. Get you places you can't always go in a car, or even when you're walking, So a little bit about the MPO. A lot of people are like, what's the MPO? Or what does an MPO do? So we're a government agency designated by the federal government, and to help with the overall regional planning in our area. And so we also help with designating federal and state dollars to go towards infrastructure projects. So regionally, we cover Bexar County, Guadalupe, Comal, and part of Kendall counties. And so again, looking at how to, conducting studies, how to improve, of course, not only highway projects, but of course, we're looking at how to improve our cycling infrastructure, pedestrian infrastructure, sidewalks, bike lanes, and even more than that. For instance, we've been working with the Capital Area Metropolitan Planning Organization, the one based in Austin. And so we actually looked at how to improve those corridors between our two regions. So actually looking very much regionally in terms of how to improve our bicycle and pedestrian infrastructure between those two regions. So again, a lot of y'all know how fast San Antonio and all of our surrounding areas are growing. So we have a lot of work ahead of us. But today we're focusing on bike safety, of course. And before we get too involved in this, as mentioned, it's National Bike Month, and I want to, of course, let you all know that we have a couple of cool events going on, especially from the MPO, but there's a lot of great things happening. Go to our website, alamoareampo.org/bike month. We also have a calendar on there with some of the group rides. We've been trying to put as much on there as we could to let the community know what's happening in Bike Month. But for one, if you've heard a couple of you Bike to Work already, so on May 17th, we're going to have our Bike to Work Day, and we've got 10 Energizer stations. Basically, it's a station where you can stop by, get a coffee, a taco, or a waffle, whatever they're gonna have there. Goodie bag and a nice hurrah on your way to work, and nice pat on your back for biking to work, because again, biking is awesome. It helps with improve our air quality, helps improve your own health, and many other reasons why it's awesome. We also have a great event coming up on May 18th, Bike Bee at Main Plaza. It's more so just like a big bike festival, and I think we've got it finalized to have a BMX show in front of the cathedral. We've got live music, a lot of activities and safety classes going on there too, and some vendors. We also have Franken Bike in the morning, so all around good time at Main Plaza that day, all about bikes. And so yeah, be sure to check out our website, especially if you want to stop at one of our Bike to Work Day Energizer stations. We're going to have one, the MPO's going to have one set up in front of our office in Southtown. Jump, Bike San Antonio, Central San Antonio are going to have one set up downtown too at the Little Patch Garden. But check out our website and find all those details. So also, if you're already riding your bike, see a lot of you ride your bikes already. If you rode here today, do y'all record your rides in Strava or any apps at all? Okay, well, so first of all, record your ride in Strava. It's if you don't know about it, it's a tracking app for whether you're running or biking or even swimming too. But TxDOT, Texas Department of Transportation, actually purchases data, and agencies like ourselves or even City of San Antonio can use this data to help plan better. So we actually use that to help assess where we can put our Energizer stations this year. And but also, if you're already doing that, we have this app called Alamo Commutes, and you can link your Strava data to Alamo Commutes, or link your Strava app to Alamo Commutes, and log your ride and win some prizes this month. So whether you're riding your bike to work, going to the grocery store, or just riding for fun, you can win prizes. And so the more trips and more miles you log, better chance of winning prizes. Stay involved in general, because we always have funding calls or calls for your advice on how to plan infrastructure in our area. For instance, Bexar County is in non-attainment for air quality right now, so we had $60 million from the federal government to help improve our air quality, and that's going towards infrastructure projects, whether it's through technology to help improve traffic congestion, or even the city of San Antonio and a couple areas also requested money for bike or pedestrian projects. So we actually just finished our, hopefully y'all gave some public comments on how you felt about those infrastructure projects, but definitely if not, keep in touch with us in the future so you can see how you can get involved and give us your feedback. All right, so again, y'all talked about why you love biking. It's just another, I mean, there's so many reasons why we all love biking. It's National Bike Month. We've been, talking about all the glory of this, Bike San Antonio, Bronco, Jump. We've all been talking about why biking's so awesome. The health benefits, economic benefits, cheaper than driving a car, of course. It's just more fun. It's a lot of fun to even trick out your own bike, whether it's, changing out your pedals, whatever else. It's a fun thing to do. Improves our air quality and just, it just feels nice riding up to work or wherever you're going, put it in the bike rack, you don't have to worry about looking for a parking space or anything. It's amazing. This is from the city of Portland. It's taken a few years ago, and it's just talking about, or they took a survey on how people felt when they're riding a bicycle. So how many of y'all currently are confident to go ride in the street and go ride along like a main street like Broadway or something? Okay, I've got some very confident bicyclists here. But a lot of y'all came today because, a lot of y'all probably came today because you want to learn more about how to be safer, maybe some state laws, and how to, a lot of those areas to be actually strong or fearless maybe too. So strong and fearless are usually people who are, riding around, not Spandex, but they're like riding their groups, they're training for a big time ride. There are a lot of those folks who are strong and fearless. A lot of us, myself included, enthused and confident, hop on a bike, go anywhere. I was biking every day to college, rain or shine. Even had a couple accidents, but still, hop on your bike and go no matter what. It's what you do. A lot of us, though, are interested but concerned. So you're here today because you want to improve your own safety, kind of think yourself in terms of like, here a defensive driver, or go to defensive driving classes. It's kind of one of those sessions where like, how to become a better cyclist and improve your safety and look after yourself. And of course, there's some people who just no interest at all. Maybe they had a bad accident when they were a kid, when they're on a bike, or they hear of all the, bicycle or car drivers don't care at all. Anyway, we're happy you're here and hopefully get something out of this. And if you have any questions in between, please let me know. Okay, just going a few different infrastructure types in our area. We've got a diverse set of infrastructure in our area, but if you go across the country, across the world, there's even more diverse types of infrastructure. Especially for those who are just getting back on your bike and wanting to get comfortable on a bike again. You may want to start off on like one of our greenway trails. So right along the river, take a ride along one of our many greenway trails along our creeks. It's a great way to get comfortable riding on your bike, getting used to the mechanics of your bike, just the actual feel of riding the bike again in your environment when you're riding a bike. Jumping over to the left side, you've got sharrows and bike routes. A lot of times these are in areas where the city or somebody can't exactly build a bike lane yet, or there's not enough room yet. But in those cases, it's to let drivers know that there's cyclists more than likely around. There's one part of Broadway, there's sharrows. There's not as visible, but like St. Mary Street, I know there's some where there's sharrows right there too. It's letting drivers know that there's probably bicyclists around, so they should keep an eye out. Also, that bicyclists have a right to be on the road, as we do have the right to ride on the road. And also, so there's a lot of bike route signs around. So those cases simply tell you where there's a safer route to ride, whether it's through neighborhood streets or even some main corridors where there actually are bike lanes, and it's deemed safer to ride a bike on. Of course, we got plenty of bike lanes around. We've been improving on that in the city and all across the region. We've been getting better on that in terms of adding more bike lanes. You've got some of your basic ones that are just painted stripes on the ground, and you have the little bicycle person or bicycle symbol on there too, letting you know that this is a bike lane. And we've been improving intersections where we're actually painting green paint on the ground to let drivers approach the intersection. They may not always think to look for bicyclists, but they see the green paint, catches their eye, oh, there's probably a bicyclist coming down the street. So they should hopefully be extra attentive to looking in all directions and looking for cyclists, if anything. Also, we're adding some more protected bike lanes here and there, but it's an even safer way to ride. I mean, you see a protected bike lane. I was riding I went to DC not long ago, and I hopped on a bike. My wife was in a conference, and I was like, perfect, I'm just gonna ride around the entire area. And I was riding through Georgetown. They had these huge concrete planters right there, and it was a two-way cycle track. And if you're right next to a huge concrete planter, that's going to stop a car. Hopefully, it'll stop a car at least. But anyway, those make you feel a whole lot safer because you're protected from vehicular traffic and others too. But essentially, those take forms in different ways. We've got on top, if you can see them, they're like little armadillos. They're like little concrete, little concrete things planted on the ground. Again, so if a driver hits that, they'd like hopefully autocorrect and just get back into traffic. You've got concrete curbing right there, another way to build a protected bike lane. But again, just some of the different infrastructure types, and so hopefully we'll have even more in our area in the future. Okay, so a little background on street skills. We use pretty much the curriculum from the American League of Cyclists. They formed in the 1850s, back when cyclists were competing with the horse and buggy for space in the streets back in the day, and they've been really great in terms of promoting things like National Bike Month and just overall cyclist safety and advocacy. But also they help with preparing great things like this in terms of how to get cyclists safer on the streets. So of course, first of all, as cyclists, we do need to follow the law, the same laws that we follow when driving for the most part, because after all, when we're riding a bike, we're considered that we're operating a vehicle. So there's also that. So trick question, can you ride on the city sidewalk in San Antonio?
Not legally.
Correct, good answer. So if you're riding on the sidewalk in the city of San Antonio, you could receive a $200 fine. However, if you see a police officer riding on the sidewalk, he can legally ride on the sidewalk. So if you come to the sidewalk, you're legally supposed to hop off and become a pedestrian. So that means hopping off and walking your bike just like this woman is right here. So just another trick question. It's really hard sometimes, especially when we don't have all of our infrastructure around, like all the proper bicycle infrastructure. A lot of times, different generations will say, hey, teaching the kid to ride on the sidewalk because it's safer, but in our city, it's technically illegal to ride on the sidewalks. Just a good thing to remember when you're riding your bike. Okay, another good reason to ride on the street, if you're riding your bike on the sidewalk, you're gonna be less visible to motorists. And it's just one of those things where a lot of times, especially in our own city, in our region, we still don't have a lot of bicyclists out in the streets or pedestrians at all, or at that. And our numbers are growing, but still there's a lot of people who aren't aware, don't think to look hard enough for bicyclists, pedestrians. They pull up to the stop sign and run right through. And sometimes if you're riding your bike, as happened the other day, I was going home and some person was like, cut to this stop sign real quick, and I was like, dude, you cut me off, essentially. But a lot of people don't look, and so it's even more important to ride where you're visible. So again, hopping off the sidewalk and ride in areas where you'll be seen. So of course, do not ride against traffic, especially do not ride on the sidewalk against traffic, because they especially would not think to look there for you. And especially if you watch out where you're riding to next to a car, because you may be in the person's blind spot. Just like when you're driving, you could very easily be in the person's blind spot when you're on a bike. But, you want to give yourself about 3 feet of space from the curb. So this way, again, so not only that, so the driver will hopefully see you and they can go around and give you that 3 feet of space that they're supposed to legally give you when they're passing you. But typically, give yourself about 3 feet of space from the curb, especially if you have to sort of miss something, there's a pothole, there's debris or something. Make sure hopefully that car gives you enough space as they're legally supposed to. It's state law and adopted by city ordinance too. They're supposed to give you 3 feet of space. But that's at least a good way. We'll talk about some other ways to also be more visible and predictable. So we'll go into that a little bit too in a bit. As we're operating a vehicle, we're supposed to stop at stoplights and stop signs. Some other states have laws in place where you can do the Idaho stop, where stop real quick and go if you're at a traffic light, but currently do not have that in Texas yet. But again, take a quick break, especially if it's getting hotter. So take a quick break and stop at the stoplight. And also, you never know what traffic's coming on from either direction. You may have a car or an ambulance or a police car flying through the intersection. So think about your own safety too in that sense. Okay, so another reason why you should not ride against traffic, think of the salmon swimming upstream, and they have the hazard of the bear about to catch them. So it's very hazardous to ride against traffic for many reasons. But I know, like, one day I was driving up Broadway in the Alma Heights area. Some person was turning in front of me, making a right turn, and there's a cyclist coming on my side of the road riding against traffic. And so he kind of swerved out because that car that was in front of me was turning, and he was super close to traffic, like traffic going against him. So another reason, like, you know, he was not seen until the very last minute. So luckily he was far enough for me, you know, for his own safety. But again, it's about being seen, being visible when you're riding with traffic. Because again, it's a vehicle where you can get a ticket. I was in college once. I went to Texas A&M, and I was riding around, and there's like construction in the area, and I was riding against traffic on the bike lane because the road was really wide, and I was like a freshman at the time. I was like, whatever, I'll just ride against traffic. And the cop actually there's a cop sitting around, and I didn't think nothing of it. He gave me a warning, but he gave me the whole lecture and whatnot, but you can get a ticket for that too. So just be aware. But again, it's also about being in the person's field of view as you see this person coming, I guess, traveling to the right, driver B over here. They wouldn't think to see you riding against traffic like that. They could be making a left turn and not think to look to the left of them. So if you're riding like, oh yeah, I have the right to go, that car may not see you when you're driving through the intersection. And same with driver A. He may just be looking and on his left side for cars, you know, coming as they're supposed to, going left or going west in that sense. But driver A may not think to look to his right side over there for you too. So as you can see, the bicyclist riding in the correct way, he is technically in both of their field of vision. So again, it's about being predictable and being in, like, knowing that those drivers see you and following the laws in a sense too. Okay, so speaking about staying visible, this is part where it comes in terms of giving yourself 3 feet of space, especially as you see on this road where there's no bike lane and there's cars parked there. You also want to give yourself 3 feet of space. Somebody opens a car door, you need to swerve real quick. Again, hopefully a driver's giving you room to pass by too. But and again, it varies by streets. Hopefully if there's a car behind you, be courteous too and don't take the full lane, because you can, as a vehicle or as a bicyclist, take the full lane of traffic. But also be courteous and let somebody pass you, move over a little bit. Yes, sir.
So yeah, I had a question about like the legality of taking up a whole entire lane, or riding like 2 riders both riding side by side and going down a lane. Like, is that any lane that's under a certain speed limit, or like what's the legality of that? You know, can you take up a whole lane only when it says may use full lane, like a sign like that? Like, I think there's a sign like that on like Houston, you know, like.
You can take the full lane technically anywhere, but especially if you're like, you know, if you're riding down Broadway or something, yeah, and it's like 2 lanes going south, and you're 2 bicyclists riding abreast, like that. You can definitely take the full lane. The cars can still pass you
Easily on Broadway. Right?
Yes, but I mean, if you're riding somewhere where it's a street 1 lane in each direction,
okay,
you're riding 2 abreast, you can take the full lane. But if there's somebody behind you that are wanting to pass you,
yeah,
I would say if possible, try to, you know, make it go in single file line.
Yeah, and then let them pass. Okay.
Yeah, and just be courteous in those senses.
Signal to them? I mean, I don't know, like, you know.
And that comes in, of course. What do you mean by signaling?
Like
yeah, I mean, yeah,
you can go ahead and
yeah, definitely, yeah, definitely. You can signal to them, let them know, and of course, as long as they can safely pass you too, make sure there's no cars coming from the opposite direction. I mean, definitely don't get off the road. I mean, still stay in the road, keep on bicycling, but be courteous to the drivers and let them pass you. But I mean, especially on roads, again, like there's roads in 2 lanes going in each direction, I mean, you can definitely, like you see like a lot of cycling groups riding down Broadway, riding two abreast going down, and it's definitely possible to do it in those cases.
Okay.
All right, so being predictable goes in the sense of, so in this case, like when you're riding your bike, a lot of us who ride bikes already, we're good at looking over our shoulder, making sure there's, even before you even make a right turn or left turn, whatever else, just like being aware of what's around you. Again, you never know when there's a distracted driver coming behind you, and you just need to be prepared for that. But practice looking over your shoulder. If you're not comfortable with that yet, go in a parking lot. And a lot of school or somewhere has even like bike rodeo striping on there. Definitely try out the bike rodeo setup. Try to stay in those two skinny lines and just try to practice all those skills. And looking over your shoulder, looking over both shoulders at that too, different times, and making sure that you can still stay balanced on your bike, because again, it's very important to stay balanced on your bike. If you're looking over your shoulder, you don't want to be veering into traffic. That could also happen too. So definitely practice those skills in parking lot or something if you're not comfortable, and take those skills to the greenway trails and build yourself back up to where you can be comfortable to ride on the road if you want to. Go ride on different parts of town, like downtown. I feel like there's a lot of parts of downtown it's easy to ride your bike on, because a lot of people already know to expect bicyclists in the area. Speeds are lower, so if they're going slower, they're more likely to see you. But definitely practice first. All right, how many of y'all know how to use your hand signals? All right, so a couple of y'all. So another big part in being predictable is letting drivers or other bicyclists know what you're going to be doing. So if you're making a left turn, a lot of cyclists, I mean, this shows this person just using their whole hand. I feel like a lot of cyclists will also just kind of point in the direction they're going. So if you're taking a left turn, just, hey, point in the direction you're going, because a lot of drivers, even cyclists, may not know hand signals. So you want to let them know, hey, I'm making a left turn over here. Or if you're changing lanes, I'm getting over to get into the left turn lane. Definitely use your left hand signal. If you're making a right turn, use your right arm to point in that direction. Or if you have trouble using this arm, you can also use this version of making a right turn. If you're making a stop, turn your left hand down like this to let them know that you're making a stop. And sometimes, again, like drivers may get a sense that you're getting ready to do something by you looking over your shoulder a lot. So whether you're trying to get into the left lane and make a left turn, they'll probably get like, what's this dude doing over here? What's this lady doing? They're keep on looking over their shoulder. What are they gonna do next? So again, it's about being predictable and letting the other people on the road know what you're doing. Okay, so if you're riding on the Greenway Trail, of course, again, be courteous to everybody else. Stay to the right, pass on the left, especially if there's a lot of traffic on the sidewalks. I mean, you can go riding, say for instance, I live near the museum reach, and there's a lot of people over there. So if you can legally ride your bike there, but you definitely have to be cautious of those around you. You have lots of people, you have dogs, kids, so definitely stay aware. Stay to the right and pass on the left, just as you do on the road or when you're driving too. And definitely announce that you're going to pass somebody, especially pedestrians, and give them time too. Don't just speed up and just pass them real quick, because they may get confused and jump out in front of you. And if you have a bell on your bike too, you also use that to alert them. But definitely let them know, passing on the left, like make sure that they can hear you, especially if they're wearing headphones or something. So yeah, that too. I mean, I've had it happen where like passing on their left and somebody actually jumps to their left. So, be careful. I would still let them know that you're going to pass on the left. I've even had cops do that too, where they just speed up behind me, like park police. They speed up behind me and they pass on the left, but they don't tell me what they're doing. So whether anybody, you should definitely let them know. Just as, when you get in bicyclists, we don't have blinkers or anything, and we can use our hand signals and also use our vocal signals too, let them know we're passing on the left, especially for pedestrians. Bicyclists and pedestrians are very vulnerable. So we definitely want to let them know, keep them safe, keep our own self safe, and use your bell, but also let them know passing your left, you're passing them. Okay. And try not to don't go too fast. So again, travel at a casual speed, and pull over if you have to stop. If you need to take a break or something, pull over to the side if there's room to get off the sidewalk, especially if there is a high traffic area. And if you're riding with like a group of 5 or something, if you're riding a greenway trail, definitely ride in a single file group. Ride in a single file if you're in a group. And especially if you've ridden on like a greenway trail in our area, there's lots of spaces where it's really curvy and there's lots of brush, so you can't always see what's around that corner. So definitely as you approach like a corner or something, definitely stay in a single file because you don't know who's coming around that corner super fast, and again, keep everybody safe. All right, so if y'all heard about free lights, Bike San Antonio purchased some free lights for y'all. So if you don't have a light already, that's really important to have a light on your bike. State law, you need to have a headlight on your bike at least, you need to have a you need to have a headlight on your bike. At minimum, you need to have a reflector in the back of your bike, but if you're driving around, you'll see bicyclists having a reflector. That's not enough a lot of times. You need to have a light or even have multiple lights. College, I had a backup. I had 2 lights just in case one of them went out, but also strapped one to my backpack, one to my back of my bike. You can wear a vest too. A lot of bicyclists, wear vests, super bright helmets. Bright yellow, he's got on the bright helmet he has over there definitely helps. And he's got a light in his helmet too. So definitely be visible. That could hopefully prevent a lot of crashes. And again, so lights, reflectors, bright clothing. You can even deck your bike out with some lights in your wheels. There's plenty of stuff. So, once they safer, I feel like there's no limits in those cases. Okay, another big safety tip. Even if you're so tempted to jam out on your way to work or just riding for fun, definitely keep your ears open. I'd recommend to not ride with anything at all in your ears. Some people jam out with the speaker on their bike. That's cool as long as you can still hear stuff around you, hearing, again, ambulances, fire trucks, police, or anything. You want to hear what's going on around you, dog barking and dog chasing after you. You want to stay very aware of those things. And of course, we can all get distracted with our phones when we're driving. Same thing with the bike. Try not to be distracted with your phone. Put it down and plan your trip out ahead of time. If you need your map, mount it to your bike, but try not to be messing with it much, or keep your eyes on the road. Because again, you're still balancing on your bike. You don't want to be swerving into traffic and have the possibility of having a crash. So these are some of the crash scenarios here where hopefully I can explain it well enough. But this is a case where bicyclist is approaching the intersection. There's a car coming from this side over here. And again, like I mentioned earlier, some people will just, is it the California stop, where you just stop real quick and roll on through? I think it's Californians, but it's just the name again. So in this case, again, being visible, as you can see, it's kind of faints right here, but this shows that this person has a field of vision going down this direction. So technically this bicyclist, or where this person this driver would more than likely look. He may look where the bicyclist has already passed through. And so in these cases, definitely a lot of bicyclists may even try to make eye contact with the other driver, make sure they see you. And sometimes the driver will be like, yeah, go ahead. They'll let you go have they'll give you the right to go past the intersection. A lot of times you may think the driver sees you, but they may actually not see you. So be even more cautious. So if you're driving through the intersection, make sure, be very mindful of your surroundings, especially if, this person's going straight. And especially at a stop sign like this. So in that case, I would suggest riding out a little bit further out, especially if, you're in a travel lane or in your bike lane. If there's cars already there, you can hop behind one of the cars, because usually a car goes in front of you. This driver will probably see that car, but they should see you behind that car. But if anything, just hop out further into the intersection and pass through that way. Okay, this is one where the whole turning scenario there, like I mentioned, where I had that same incident where that bicyclist riding against traffic and the person turned. In this case, you're riding, next to this car up here, but he's already through the intersection, he sped up, you're still going, but maybe that car up there just pulled up and he didn't see you next to that car waiting at the light. So be mindful of situations like this where this car right here is driving through the intersection. this car right here is about to make a left turn. Again, he may not see you, and he may see you at the very last minute. So in these cases where there's a lot of traffic, especially intersections like this, I would suggest not pedaling too fast to the intersection and be prepared to make a quick stop if needed to, again, keep your own self safe. And hopefully you're wearing a helmet too. But keep pedaling, make sure you're all good to go, keep pedaling, but try not to go too fast. Be prepared to make a quick stop if needed. And again, you can ride further out left, so hopefully they will see you. All right, so this is another one where it's like, okay, you're riding next to a car, you would think they'd see you. They're gonna look through maybe they're gonna look through their passenger side over here, but they may actually just be looking towards the other traffic over there. They may not think to look to their right side. A lot of drivers don't think to look through their passenger side view mirror, or even think to look to the right of them, or even make a very good intention to look at their blind spot, because you may very well be in their blind spot right here. So again, one of those cases where the driver may not see you, and possibly maybe make eye contact, just look to your left and see if they see you, and maybe they'll let you go straight if this person's probably in the bike lane or something. But again, be very aware of that, and if you see this car is like really in a hurry or something, don't race against the car, especially if he's making a right turn, because crash could happen. But definitely use your best judgment in these type of scenarios, and make sure the driver can see you, make sure you can kind of get a sense for what that driver's going to do. And cases like this too, it's also okay to hop in the main travel lane and get in, especially at intersections, to travel directly behind this car. So you're going to be safe. That car can go, then you'll be the next one at the intersection. And if any other cars at the intersection, they'll see you, and should be good. Like, he brought up a good point about the boxes. So I think it's on Main Avenue downtown. They have it painted to where there's a bike lane that goes in front, the cyclists are supposed to go in front of traffic, but even be cautious there, because drivers are gonna be like, what? Why are you doing this? Because they have no idea why it's painted like that. So again, even those cases where it gives us the right of way, you need to still be cautious, because I've had that happen. And I know some people who work downtown, they'll always tweet pictures about how people are always parking the bike lanes, or even just not giving them the right of way to get into the box. Still be careful in those cases, because again, a lot of times around here, people are not aware of bicyclists being around, or even the laws.
I just pretend that every car is going to hit me.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding, and that's like your best defense your best offense is a good defense. Just
Defensive bicyclists again.
Yeah, just pretend like every car doesn't see you, because then you'll at least be ready if they are going to hit you. Prepare for the worst.
Until all the infrastructure is we have protected bike lanes, and it actually works, so that it's all connected, and it's all you'll go to other cities across the nation, across the world, where you see wow, this is so functional, it feels so safe. It actually encourages people to get out and bike. We're trying to work that way, not there yet in some cases, but definitely in these times, just think of defensive bicyclist mode and just be very aware. It's, again, why it's important to not have any headphones and distractions in, and even making sure your bike's tuned up too, because that's also very important in these cases. But again, going back to talking about the 3-foot rule, so if you're a motorist, you're supposed to give, again, a lot of us drive cars anyway, so you're supposed to give bicyclists 3 feet of space between your car and the bicyclist. If you're driving a commercial vehicle, if you see a big utility vehicle like CPS truck or whatever kind of vehicle, they're actually supposed to give you 6 feet of space. So those are all state laws adopted by city ordinance too. But that helps out in cases where you can avoid, hopefully, side swipes or rear ends. A lot of times you'll see, again, going back to the part where bicyclists need to also give our own space between us and the curb, so people actually see us, and people don't underestimate the amount of space they give us when passing. So again, people don't give enough space when passing us, or they're not paying attention to the road. Somebody may be texting, trying to find the directions, or searching for something on the floorboard. They may not see you, so that could be also a reason why a rear end could happen. Also, people biking move left without looking. Again, it's important to practice your skills ahead of time too, because if you're even talking to somebody, you're riding groups of 2, or you're just, having a good time, you may be swerving without realizing it and almost swerving into traffic. So definitely keep aware of those things, and practice makes perfect too. So hopefully it helps you become even more of a veteran cyclist. Okay, so talking about car doors earlier and giving yourself 3 feet of space. In this case, there's a bike lane right here, and it's actually the state laws in this are kind of interesting too, because in terms of hopping out of the bike lane, but especially in cases like this where there's our office is in Southtown over at St. Mary's in Alamo, and Alamo runs right in front of the friendly spot over there. If you're riding in that bike lane, there's a lot of parked cars right there. So again, give yourself 3 feet of, give yourself some space, even if you're in a bike lane and it's a busy day, it's a Saturday or something, a lot of people going in and out of their cars, or if it's First Friday or something, be very cautious. And if you don't feel comfortable, there's a lot of people opening their car doors. I would hop into the travel lane, to be safe. Or if anything, right to the far left of the bike lane, because especially here, again, staying aware of, car horns beeping, somebody's locking their car, unlocking their car. If you hear some kid maybe running around the corner of the car to get into the car, not just the car doors opening, but kid may run into the bike lane to get into the vehicle. Or somebody on their phone may not think to look in the bike lane when they're going around. Yes. Legally, you're supposed to stay in the lane if the bike lane's there, but if there's hazards, you definitely want to give yourself space, and if needed, either get into the travel lane or give yourself enough space so that you're avoiding that hazard. Again, whether it's car door, pothole, any sort of debris, but legally you're supposed to stay in the bike lane. Okay. So that's actually state law. Okay, so this is the video. Going to key up in just a second, but there's a lot of railroad crossings in our area, but across our country even too, where there's really bad railroad crossings like this, where it crosses at a nasty angle. And if any of y'all have interacted with a railroad crossing, it can be kind of interesting, especially when you cross one like this. You need to cross it at a 90-degree angle and make sure that both of your tires, both of your wheels, cross it at that angle. So you may underestimate, you're like, oh, my front wheel is crossing at that angle, but then your back tire gets caught in there. So this video just demonstrates some of the scenarios where people underestimate how they cross. I think there should be a little play button on there. And just go ahead and play that real quick. There's a professor from the University of Tennessee. He recorded this. His office faced this intersection right here. And so if you watch a longer video on YouTube, I think you could just look up railroad crossing or bicyclists and railroad crossing. It's like a 5-minute long video that actually shows bicyclists on this side also crossing. But again, just showing, again, also watching out, because you could, in that case, swerve into traffic, or people are actually falling into the travel lane. So either cross at a 90-degree angle on your bike or hop off and walk your bike across if you're unsure. A lot of times if you go on a social ride or something, the ride marshals will call up and just make sure that, hey, to watch out for those railroad crossings and tell you to cross correctly. But if you're by yourself and you're just crossing it for the first time, you may think okay, cool, I'll just do this. And if you're riding a road bike or something too, it's even more susceptible to being caught between the railroad lines and the pavements. So definitely watch out for that. Okay, so talking about mechanics, it's also you're hopping on your bike, you haven't ridden your bike in 10, 15 years, and you're like, okay, I'm just gonna pull out of the garage, put some air in the tires, and there's gonna be more to your bike than that. And so you wanna make sure, of course, make sure you have air in your tires, make sure that your tires are in good condition. Just like your car, if you need to replace your tires after a while, and your tires, if they have tubes in them, watch out for the tires, the tubes themselves. I can also attest to another issue. I was I have a really old 1970s bike, and I was for a while they had some problems with flats, and I was oh, it's just the tires, and maybe it's just super tight, but actually the wheel is super old and it has some rust spots inside of it, which are causing it to puncture the tube. So if you're why am I always getting flats? If you don't know, take it to a bike shop and get checked out. Just like these other things, for brakes. State of Texas, you also need to you need to legally have brakes in your bike, technically to operate. Your chain, make sure that your chain is operating correctly. Make sure that your chain is not stretched, especially if you have multiple gears on your bike. Your chain's gonna skip a cog, it's going to skip a lot. You're just going to hear a lot of clicking, or it might be your derailleur's off. So you're like, why does it keep on making all this clicking sound? Why is my gear switching? If you don't know how to fix it, definitely take it to a bike shop to get it checked out. And make sure your chain is actually lubed up properly. You don't want to put WD-40 on there. It's going to probably attract more dirt. If you don't know how to do it, take it to a bike shop, get a degreaser on there and get it lubed up. Also your cranks. When I was in college working at a bike shop, I thought it was just crazy how often people were walking into our bike shop with their crank arm in one hand and walking in with their bike like this because their crank arm fell off. Because a lot of the bikes were like really cheap or really poor quality bikes. And so these people would always, their bicycle was their only form of transportation. So they were riding their bikes every day, multiple times a day. And those crank arms and those bolts on there, or those nuts, couldn't take that heat. So we'd fix it once, we fixed it twice. The third time we're like, hey guys, the nut on here is stripped out and the bolt there is stripped out. So definitely make sure that your crank arm is also, if it's like jiggly, you don't know how to fix it, take it to the bike shop, get it fixed also. Really important, you need to have both of your pedals to operate your bike. And make sure your cassettes are all good, what your back here where your chain goes, and make sure that all your quick releases are fastened properly. A lot of bikes do have quick releases on both the back wheel and front wheel. Some just have nuts fastened on there, but if you do have a quick release on there, make sure that's fastened properly. So sometimes if people fix their flat or something, put it back on, your wheel might be crooked, so watch out for that too. But make sure your quick release is fastened properly and actually closed properly. Same thing if you have one on your seats. If you even happen to ride a jump bicycle or any of the other bike share bikes, if you're going to adjust your seat, make sure that quick release is fastened, closed all the way. Because if you're riding, you don't want to be riding and your quick release is not closed all the way and you hit a bump and then your seat falls down. So that can happen too. So we have some maps here. They're produced back a few years ago. Produced them with the city of San Antonio, and they're Bexar County bike map. But what came out of this bike map, this edition, was a level of traffic stress. So it's an assessment of road conditions in all of our Bexar County area. And essentially, if you see a road that's red, that's means a road that is typically not so safe for bicyclists, especially if you're riding by yourself and your first time you're like, oh man, I probably should not go right on this road that is all red on the map. One cool thing is that, so we have these bike maps here, we have bike shops, we take them out to the community and different community events. We also have this great tool online that's free and available for y'all to use, anybody in the public. It's called our iMap. And so if you go to alamoareampo.org/iMap, kind of hard to see, it's really faint on the side right here, but it have multiple layers. Our GIS team has really been fantastic in terms of adding multiple layers to this. It has our long range plan, short range plan, that's again for infrastructure projects. And it also has a lot of other features, especially for really interested in bike facilities. You can see what our level of traffic stress is. There's also the layers for greenway trails, trailheads. Right now we have or swell cycle stations, even like shoulders where you can actually ride your bike on. A lot of other layers too. We try to update it as much as possible, but we're also working with a lot of different agencies in terms of getting that information. But also a great resource, and also has crash stats on there too. So if you want to see, I think it has 2017s on there, and we're working to get 2018s updated. But from TxDOT, we're able to receive all the crash data from our area, and we're able to drop this on here too. So if you want to play with this layer, add the crash stats layer. You can see for pedestrians and bicyclists. I think you can also see car crashes too, but you can also play around and add that too. All right, so talking about helmet safety. So we got some helmets here today, and so if you don't have one, who doesn't have a helmet, first of all? All right, so Jump is awesome enough to provide some helmets for today. And before we actually get those helmets to you, I want to talk a little bit about fitting a helmet, because a lot of times people might go to the store, just buy a helmet, and just put it on, and just, all right, cool, I'm good to go. Fix the straps a little bit. All right, I'm good. But a lot of times, say if you go to a bike shop or something, they're usually like, okay, you're gonna buy a helmet, we're gonna help you fit it right. So a few tips on fitting your helmets. First of all, you want to make sure that your helmet's not, like, when you're riding your bike, make sure that it's not like going side to side when you're like moving around. Because if it's going side to side, it's probably too loose. And also, we have this 2-finger rule where you want to make sure that the straps of your helmet fit like a V around your ears. So 2 fingers like this, make sure it fits like a V around your ears. Adjust those straps accordingly if you have this strap feature right here. And also for your chin, make sure that at least about 2 fingers between your chin and your chin strap. Again, you don't want it to be too loose when you're fitting it. And also, the brim of your helmet should fit about 2 fingers from your eyebrows to the brim of your helmet. And so if it's like your helmet's sitting up here, a lot of times you see a lot of kids with helmets like that. So if you have a child, you have a niece or nephew or something, definitely help them fit their helmet too properly, because especially children, it's really important to keep their heads safe if they get in accidents. So just a few tips on fitting your helmet properly. We can help you all fit your helmet just after this presentation, but again, helmets are also really important.
Here with Jump Bikes, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about who we are. So I know we talked about earlier why biking, pretty much the same reasons. We all love biking. It's just the healthier option. It's fun. It gets you to places you need to go to faster, especially if you live in the downtown area. I myself live in the downtown area, so just ever since the Jump Bikes came out, it's just so convenient for me. I feel like I never drive anymore, so it's awesome. So what is Jump? We are an Uber-owned company, so what Uber's trying to do is just trying to create more forms of transportation in the local area so that we can minimize traffic. So many, especially in downtown when there's events, it gets so packed with cars. If we can start biking and scootering, it would definitely minimize all those cars in those areas. We do have the bikes that you've seen here in this picture. I don't know if you can kind of see it or not. They're bright red. We made them that way so that they're easily spotted. They do have light in the front and light in the back. We also have the scooters that are electric, but of course I'll be kind of focusing more on the bikes right now. They are dockless. I know you said they're dockless, so that means that you can pick them up wherever you see them and you don't have to return them where you found it. On the app, it tells you if you're in a no parking zone, if you can't park it in a certain location, the app will let you know itself. So you can just pick it up if you see one. If you're just walking down the street and you see a bike, say, hey, let me jump on a bike so I can get to my location faster. Reserve it, pick it up, drive it, drop it off there, and that's that. So like I said, they are dockless and they are electric. On the app, we have 2 apps actually. It's easier and more convenient to reserve the bikes or the scooters on the Uber app just because everything is on the Uber app, but we do have another form to reserve those, and that's on the Jump app. So I'll just go ahead and explain how to use them on the actual app quickly. If you guys don't mind, if you already have the Uber app, that's awesome. If you don't mind downloading it, I'll go ahead and walk you guys through it really quickly, and I'll show you off of my phone as well. Yeah, so if you already have the Uber app, you'll just go ahead and open it up. The home screen will just show you the rideshare part of it. So if you want to drive somewhere, it's the main screen. On the top of the main screen, there is a ride button. You click that button and it gives you the option to choose bike or scooter. Choosing that bike or scooter option shows you all of the bikes and scooters that are in the area. So right now where we are, we don't really have that many bikes and scooters. If you go down to the downtown area, it'll show you all of the bikes and scooters there. So once it shows you all of that, you'll be able to choose any of the bikes or scooters there. Once you choose, go ahead. Yes, the Uber app. Yeah, you can go ahead and download it, and if you want, after the presentation, I'll help you go through it.
I got somebody at the bibliotech helps me.
Oh yeah, no worries. I can go ahead and help you with that as well. So you'll go ahead and choose any of the bikes or scooters. Once you choose that, it gives you the option to either scan or reserve. That's the cool part about Jump. The other companies just give you the option to scan it if you're there. So let's say you're at home and you say, well, I'm feeling kind of enjoys today, let's go ride a bike or scooter. You open up your app, you see which one's the closest one to you, you can reserve it from home. walk to it. Once you're there, unlock it. Or the other way is if you're already there, like I said, if you're walking down the street and you see a bike and you're like, oh, I might as well just take a bike, you can scan it right then and there. So once you're at that screen, you'll reserve it or scan to ride. Once you go up to the bike and you take a picture of the Q code, it unlocks. The bikes on the side have a little like lock cord. Once that bike is unlocked, you just take the cord out, and that'll give you momentum to ride the bike. And then you're on your way. That's pretty much how the bikes work. You do have the option to hold them. So let's say you're going on a quick coffee run or something. You don't need to, completely end your ride. You can have the option to hold it. And on the actual app, you hold it. And then when you come back to it, just take a picture, put the code that it gives you, and it unlocks it, and you're on your way again. Again, you don't have to, you can park it anywhere unless the app tells you specifically it's a no parking zone. So that's another cool thing about it, is that they do have GPS, which lets you know where you can and you cannot park it. The pricing for the bikes and scooters are 15 cents per minute. They are free to unlock. So it's really cost effective, especially if you're just going from point A to point B. If it's a 1 minute ride, 2 minute ride, even a 5 minute ride, super cheap. We did launch our first promo codes this month, so please feel free to take a picture of this right now to take your first ride free on us. And please feel free to share this with all your friends too, people who have not used Jump. Encourage them to ride them. To add the actual promo code into your app, you'll go ahead and go onto this screen. Once you're at the bike or the scooter, it'll give you the option to reserve bike or scan it. It'll show you, it'll pop up this screen right here where it says choose payment methods. At the bottom where it says add promo code, you'll go ahead and add that promo code, and then it'll apply it. And then once you confirm to reserve it, it'll give you that ride for free. Do you guys have any questions for me? Yeah, absolutely.
So how far can you ride?
Depending on the battery usage, it usually tells you on the app if they need recharging, if they don't, if they have enough battery. That goes for the bikes and the scooters. If you come up to a bike that you see, oh, this doesn't have enough battery, just look for another bike. Usually our team is really good about switching those out pretty quickly. So we don't have much of that, like just battery-less bikes or scooters out.
So you have a regular team?
We have regular teams 24/7 that just go recharge them, swap out the batteries. For the bikes, they swap out. Yeah, so for Jump, the bikes is different. Since they do have the batteries on there, our team just goes out. Instead of bringing them back to the warehouse, which takes longer, they just take the batteries with them and swap them. Mm-hmm.
I build electric bikes, so this is a kit that I sell on my website that I can put on any quality bike. And the motor on this particular bike is here. And what it does is actually replaces your regular pedals and cranks. So with this system, you have you have a throttle. And so this particular system can go up to 30 miles an hour if you like it to. Or there's also what's called pedal assist, and that means when you start pedaling on your crank, the motor kicks in, you can hear it, and then there's also emergency brakes that shuts the motor off. But why I do this is because it's a lot of fun. It saves me a lot of money. I don't have to use a car as much. Here's the battery pack as well, and most e-bikes have some sort of display or screen. It gives you things like how fast you're going, how many miles you've ridden, how long of a charge you usually have. And this is the battery pack. They just use what looks like a laptop charger, and it takes 2 to 4 hours to charge it, depending on how much you drained the pack. But usually I just charge it once a week, and that's good for me. And the one charge usually lasts about 20 to 30 miles, depending on how fast you're going. And I just think e-bikes are great because they kind of limit a lot of the physical limitations that we all have as cyclists. Maybe that's why we're not on those busy streets like Broadway and whatnot. I just like having it because when I need to scoot, I scoot, and when I want to pedal, I pedal. And so it's kind of the best of both worlds. Yeah, so we're just a local startup here, Bronco Bikes, broncobikes.com, Bronco with a K. And we're just trying to get our business and get going. And I think Jump is a good way because people might try a Jump bike and say, hey, this is really cool. Well, maybe I want my own electric bike in the future, and that's where Bronco Bikes can come in. And there's also some great shops here in the city also that have electric bikes you can try out. And if you haven't tried one out, I really highly recommend it because it's a heck of a lot of fun. Like, you know that smile you got on your face when you're going downhill? Well, now you have that smile going uphill. Yeah. But then also want to talk on behalf of bikesanantonio.org. We're a nonprofit here in town advocating for bicycle infrastructure. And we have petitions on our website. We have one for, we're looking for protected bike lanes on Broadway, Fredericksburg Road, St. Mary's, Cincinnati, East Houston, and we're looking at maybe Bandera Road and some other roads that we want to claim as, hey, look, this is where cyclists are in the city. How can we make the bus stops, the sidewalks, and protected bike lanes all work together so that the bikes have their place and makes the car drivers happier? But that's why I do the electric bikes, because I can't wait for the city to decide when they want to put a protected bike lane on Broadway, which is one of the main streets I use every week. So that's why I got involved with bikesanantonio.org, just because I really thought their mission statement was great and what they're trying to do, and I wanted to be part of something bigger than myself.